We can start, sir.
One minute, yeah. Hello and welcome. I'm very happy that continuously we are doing a knowledge dissemination session. And special thanks to Utkarsh for arranging, coordinating, choosing the topic, and handling all the back-end work. And good to see participants attending the session regularly. Just to give a little background about GST-Zen, GST-Zen is a GSP and ASP. And GST then provides written filing software, which is more required for every GST compliance taxpayer. Not just written filing software, lot of reconciliation tools. It's very important that you always reconcile the data which is there in the books versus the government portal, right? So having a tool to ensure that the reconciliation happens. And not just a reconciliation which has to do with effort, but it is a seamless reconciliation preparation tool. The data from books of accounts can be integrated directly with your ERP to GSTzen. Data from the government portal will be seamlessly fetched and it would be processed and the returns are presented. In fact, the reconciliations can also help you to communicate to your vendor in case if something is not uploaded in their 2A or 2B respectively. A lot of taxpayers who use our e-invoice and e-way bill services. You will find our customers in GSTzen from a small brick and mortar store to a large listed entity. Most of the professionals love to use this application for its simplicity, all the reports that are being in Excel, and our excellent customer support team, right? This is a brief background about GSTzen. More in the second part of the session, my colleague Bharti will be sharing you the information. We are here today to discuss about the GSTR-1 changes that are going to come from the month of January, which we are going to file in February. We will be looking at that. Then it's been quite common that the notices are coming if there is a mismatch between GSTR-1 and 3B or 2B and 3B. A quick insight about these notices. And today is the last day about electronic credit reclaim statement. If someone has not done, how to do it and what's the impact of it. These are the things that we are going to discuss. And this session is recorded and a copy of this presentation would also be shared for all the people who are participating today. Right. Don't worry. Having here, feel free to ask any questions, get anything that is unclear, clarified, have it be clarified, and we are here to assist you. Starting with the changes that are coming in GSTR-1, notification 26/2022. I'm talking about December 22 notification, 26 December, which has been issued to include the additional reporting of e-commerce supplies. The table 14 and table 15 has been included. Even before going there, since there is an e-commerce supplies that are coming up, there are small changes that have happened. Let me walk you through all those changes that have happened so that we know these changes and appreciate the reason why table 14 and 15 is also coming. The first and foremost, the GSTR-1, if you look at it, the table 14 is a reporting of e-commerce data. Now, given that the table 14 is reporting of e-commerce data, what was the original? Isn't it this data was not there earlier? The answer is no, this data was there earlier also. It's just that some portion of this data has been updated and included in the separate table. Now, if you have GSTR-1 format with you, if you open up GSTR-1 format, there was table 4A, 4B, and 4C. There were three different tables were there. Now, in the table 4A, we were reporting B2B outward supplies. The reporting was B2B outward supplies. Let me share the screen of GSTR-1 format so that you can appreciate. This is the GSTR-1, yeah. Like in the original GSTR-1, earlier, the expectation of reporting under 4A was supplies to a registered person. Basically, the table 4 is supplies made to a registered person, but other than. So the earlier the expectation is it is other than the supplies other than attracting reverse charge. So it was other than supplies reverse charge and supplies made through e-commerce. So the supplies that are made through e-commerce are reported under 4C. Now, what is the change that has come is the new change that has come in GSTR-1. Let's go to, yeah. In the thing, the words, the letters attracting reverse charge and supplies made through e-commerce operator is now changed to the attracting reverse charge, including the supplies made through e-commerce operator. So the earlier, the supplies to e-commerce operator was reported separately. That has been eliminated and it is reported in the 4A itself. So there are now no two separate sections. It is a single section. So that's the first change that has happened, where the supplies other than is substituted with supplies including. So given that my 4C is included in 4A, so the 4C has been deleted. Across the e-commerce related changes happened. Next is table 5, where in table 5 earlier, it was outward supplies other than, now they moved to outward supplies including the e-commerce supplies. So if I move to table 5, if you can see, there was 5A outward supplies other than supplies made to, the word was other than. Now the 5B, which is now no longer relevant. So the 5B has been omitted. The next comes table 7A2 and 7B2. Table 7 was supply to an unregistered person. Table 7 is a supply to an unregistered person. Here we had 7A is intrastate, 7B is interstate. However, the contrary to 4 and 5, in 4 we used to report supplies through e-commerce separately, but here this is supplies already including through e-commerce operator. This is already through including through e-commerce operator. And your 7A2 was out of 7A1. It is a carve out of 7A1. A subset has to be reported by e-commerce operator wise. The expectation was it has to be reported by e-commerce operator wise. Now they have removed both 7A2 and 7B2. So the change is not required in 7A1 because it is already including e-commerce operator supply. Next, in table 9, this was a change, procedural change which was required. If you look at the table 9, the format in the table 9, it was reporting of debit note, credit note, invoice, everything. So firstly, when the headings are common, it is not relevant or to say the invoice even for debit note or credit note. So the change one they have done is they have done away with the invoice. So it is basically document number and document date. Next, refund voucher was not part of table 9. It should have been part of your table 11, the amendments, advances and advance adjustment. So they have removed the refund voucher from table 9 and they have moved it to table 11. These are the changes that have happened in your table 9. First, the refund vouchers is removed and if the invoice is incorrect, they've just said amendments, and for the word invoice, the document has been substituted. So this is the changes in table 9. Then in B2C amendment, since in the original table, the 7A1 and 7A2 and 7B2 was dropped, the amendment relating to the e-commerce, that is also dropped. Advances, The advances earlier, it was net of refund. The refund vouchers was there in table 9, but now they have introduced the word saying that the refunds is net of refund vouchers. That means I have received an advance from customer. I have remitted the taxes to the government. Next month, when I'm making a supply, let's say 100 rupees I have received and I am making a supply only for 80 rupees. 80 is reported in my table 4 in my GSTR-1. The differential 20, I am issuing a refund voucher that would be reported here. So my adjustment would happen both the 80 rupees towards advance adjustment, 20 rupees towards refund voucher, both would be reported. Next, table 12, we know 76/22, the HSN was made mandatory. So earlier the definition of HSN, it was using in table 12, the reporting in, one second, let me just clear this. Yeah. So if you see in table 12, the reporting of HSN, the HSN, the description was mentioned as optional. But now they said is if HSN is there, the description is going to become mandatory. So they have removed that optional word definition. Now they have introduced 5 new tables. Please note it's 5 new tables. Though it is table 14 and 15, there are subtables that are there, which we are going to see. First, 14 has to be reported by supplier. This has to be reported by supplier. So if I am a supplier and I am making the supply through e-commerce operator. So assuming the simple example of Flipkart and Amazon. Now I am in the business of, let's say, selling the mobile phones and you are the customer. I am making the supply to you through Amazon and Flipkart. So there is an e-commerce operator in between. All right. Now I will be reporting how much of my total sales. Please note, out of my total sales, how much of it has been sold through e-commerce operator will be reported here. All right. This is table 14 to be reported by the supplier. Contrary, table 15 is to be reported by e-commerce operator. The e-commerce operator would be reporting how much amount of supplies have been routed through e-commerce operator. How much amount of supplies have been routed through e-commerce operator. Please note, for table 14, the original reporting has already happened. Like that 4A1 or table 7, table 5, original reporting happened. It is only a re-reporting of the total sales, how much of it happened through e-commerce operator. By reporting a value in table 14, no new liability gets created. On the contrary, for the supplies made through e-commerce operator, there could be supplies as a pass-through where I have to do TCS, or I have to pay tax under 9(5) as a original thing. Both would get covered. Let's go one by one. Starting with table 14. Table 14, there are insertion of 2 subtables in table 14, which is 14A, is list of supplies that are made through the e-commerce operator, on which the e-commerce operator is liable to, on which the supplier is liable to pay tax under section 9(1). It's like a forward charge. And this is a kind of a reverse charge on which the e-commerce operator is going to pay the taxes. Of course, in the first month, there are no amendments. So table 14 is the first month reporting, which is in the month of Jan 14, you will be reporting. But for the month of February onwards, in case if you have made any earlier in table 14, the amendment of that earlier thing would happen in table 14A. This is something that has come in, that has been crept in, is first thing. Then the supplies wherein e-commerce operator has to be reporting, he will be reporting on which e-commerce operator is liable to pay tax. Please note, the reporting of the e-commerce operator is only where e-commerce operator has to pay the tax. So cases like Flipkart. Now, most of the cases in the supplies through Flipkart, the supplier is liable to pay the taxes. Hence, it is supplier who will be reporting. Does does Flipkart report those transactions in GSTR-1? Answer is no, because GSTR-1 is a sales return. Please note, GSTR-1 is a sales return and the liability. 9 subsection 5 of the Act made it mandatory for the e-commerce operator to discharge the tax as if he is the supplier. Now, what are these transactions? If you notice, 9 subsection 5 was covering passenger transportation service like Ola and Uber. So though the driver is providing the services, since Ola and Uber is a facilitator, he is the e-com operator, he is liable to pay the taxes. So the Ola, Uber will be reporting their turnover here. Next, in case of housekeeping, any other services, plumbing, electrical and other services, like if you are using a third party vendor, okay, so to handle any of the housekeeping services and other activities, such third party vendor will be doing. So today we have a lot of third party vendors who are providing all the housekeeping and other services. On those platforms, when you book, such operator has to pay the taxes. Or accommodation services. If you are making booking through Make My Trip and the hotel is not registered because it's a small less than 20 lakhs turnover, the Make My Trip has an obligation to pay the taxes on that. In fact, the recent additions is on the Zomatos and Swiggy's. So on the restaurant services, they made through e-commerce operator has to pay taxes. So in all these situations, the government said where an e-commerce operator has to be pay the taxes, so the e-commerce operator has to report this transaction. Please note, this is the original reporting. While if you look at the values in table 14, this is the second time reporting. I would have already reported in the any other table earlier, but I am reporting it again as a summary and I have no liability to pay. While in my table 15, I have a liability to pay. This is the first time I am doing the reporting and I have a liability to pay. So I will be reporting this for the first time as an e-commerce operator here. I will be treating, though this is not my turnover for the practical purposes, but for the purpose of GST, it is treated as my turnover. Now, here they have given the reporting format is the registered persons who are making supply. So a B2B supply or a B2C supply. An unregistered person making supply to a registered person or unregistered person. So they have categorized the reporting. And any amendment made to a supply where the registered person is recipient, it is 15A1. And amendment made if the recipient is an unregistered person is 15B2, 15A2. So these are the sub tables. So totally 5 tables that have come. In 14, you have 14 and 14A. You have 15, 15A1 and 15A2. These are 5 new tables that got introduced, which everyone should be very mindful of. I'll quickly walk you through these tables one by one. Table 14, you have 2 informations that you are reporting. In both the cases, you are making the supplies through e-commerce operator. Situation 1, you are liable to pay the taxes. Situation 2, the e-commerce operator is liable to pay the taxes. Situation 1, you are liable to pay the taxes. In situation 2, e-commerce operator is liable to pay the taxes. So if you are liable to pay the taxes, you have already reported in table 4, but the e-commerce operator would be doing TCS. He would be doing TCS. He is filing GSTR-8 and you are getting the value of the taxes. Now, this value, the taxable value and tax liabilities, which is reported here, it will not be auto-populated in your GSTR-3B because you have already reported in table 4. The liability has already been reported in table 4. So you don't need to be worried that it is calculating double. Then you have second, which is liable to be pay tax under 9(5). So e-commerce operator is liable to pay taxes. Even this, you have already reported as exempt supply under table 8. But you are giving the information against each of the e-commerce. So e-commerce operator wise, you will be reporting. And these values will be auto-populated in 311. This is a new insertion happened from Jan 22 of from the January of the previous year. They have added this reporting. So it is only of the information. This is only an information. Again, it is not a liability computation table. So to see how this it would look like, if you see, it is e-commerce operator wise against each of the e-commerce operator. Through Amazon, I did so much. Through Flipkart, I did so much. Through Swiggy, I did so much. So I will be reporting under section 52 separately, under section 95 separately. Both the values I'll be reporting separately. Let me quickly log into the portal and show you how this would look up. Let me just log in. Yeah, so let's go to returns dashboard and GSTR-1 of January. Let's take GSTR-1 prepare online. And I will go to the new table 14 supplies made through e-commerce operator. So you can see here, there are two tables, one liability, the e-commerce operator has to pay 1% TCS, and second e-commerce operator has to pay full amount. So there are two separate entries. Now, if you click on the first one, liability to collect. So if I add a record here, you can see against each of e-commerce operators. So I'm not doing an invoice wise reporting. I'm just doing consolidated reporting against each of the e-commerce operator. Similarly, when with regards to 95 supplies also, where the e-commerce operator has to pay the tax, again I'm reporting I have made supplies through Swiggy so much, Make My Trip so much, Zomato so much. So I'm giving them the net value of the supplies. I am just computing what is the liability of tax, but this tax is not going to get added to my liability. Moving to table 15. Table 15 is a little complicated because the e-commerce operator has made supplies through the portal, and such e-commerce operator is liable to pay the taxes. Because the e-commerce operator is liable to pay taxes, so they have four separate reportings. They are wanting B2B separately, URP2B. So the registered person to registered, registered person to unregistered. This is B2B, URP to this is B to URP. Okay. Again, unregistered to registered, unregistered to registered. This is a URP to B, unregistered to unregistered, URP to C. These are four different categories. They want a reporting. Why do they want reporting? Because when you are making a supply to a registered person, they are eligible for ITC. So it has to be an invoice wise reporting, and that value will be reported in their 2B. Now, please note some important information. First, e-commerce operator will be reporting the supplies in which they are liable to pay tax under 9 subsection 5. So e-commerce operator will not be reporting the supplies on which TCS is applicable, will not be reported here. Where e-commerce operator is doing the 1% TCS while they are separately filing their GSTR-8 will not be coming here. Next, the values which are coming here is not reported elsewhere. In table 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it was not reported anywhere earlier. It is coming for the first time. While in table 14, it is a re-reporting of the original data. This is the first time reporting of the data. Next, the values which are reported here in table 15 will be auto-populated as a liability to be paid in table 311 in the first section of GSTR 3B, where the taxable value along with the tax liability for all these four sections will be auto-populated in 311 so that the e-commerce operator makes the payment of the taxes. All right. And reporting, if it is a supply is to an registered person, whether it is supply by an unregistered person, supply by a registered person, doesn't matter. If the supplies are to a registered recipient, if the supplies are to a registered person, whether supplied by registered or unregistered doesn't matter, but since it is supplied to a registered person, so that recipient is eligible for ITC. So against each invoice number wise, the reporting happens. Contrarily, if the supply is to an unregistered person, if the supply is to an unregistered person, since they don't take any input tax credit, so it is supplier wise. So many suppliers is like Hotel 1 has made 100 rupees supply. So against each supplier wise, a summary is reported here. If the if the recipient is registered, it is invoice wise reporting. If the recipient is unregistered, it is a consolidated reporting. Right. Now, the ITC credit for the 9(5) supplies will also be there in GSTR-2B. In 2B, they are introducing a new section against each of the e-commerce operator wise. You will be getting against each document what is the credit that you are entitled to take. It's a separate reporting that is made available. Just to summarize, now we have the values to be reported in the upcoming month. In GSTR-2B, the values that would be coming only if the returns are filed within time. If R1 is filed by 11th, or if you are in a quarterly and you are filing IFF, if you are filing by 13th, on these scheduled dates, if you are filing, the values will be reported in the 2B. If you are filing it late, it would be there in the 2A, but it would be there in the next period 2B. This is something one has to be very mindful of, because non-filing of the R1 in time delays the input tax credit for other. So you might delay filing your 3B. You only pay interest for that one day, 2 day. But if you file your R1 late, all your recipient will get input tax credit late. It will put them into a problem. Now, so for the e-commerce operator, there is section 24 mandating e-commerce operator and the persons who are making supplies through e-commerce operator to have a registration. This has been done away with, saying that they don't need to register. But please note, it is only for goods by a composition dealer or by an unregistered person. They can now make a supplies through e-commerce operator. For an unregistered person, they have given a form, enrollment 1. So they are asking the unregistered person to get enrolled on the GST portal to get an enrollment number, so that he can make such transaction, because the e-commerce operator will be able to permit them to do the transactions and report it to R1. The only condition here is the e-commerce operator should permit them to do only intrastate supplies. Interstate supplies are not permitted. So e-commerce operator shall not allow them to do an interstate supply of goods. And given that the unregistered person or composition dealer are not there, so they don't need to do any TCS for these transactions. Any questions? Let's see if there are any questions to anyone at this point. Okay. There are no questions. If you have any questions in so far, you can put the questions in the chat. All right. Let's move to the PJ Jain is asking, it's only related to e-com. Yes, GSTR-1 changes are only related to e-com. There are no changes to the regular supplies. If you are making supply through e-com, then the changes that have been notified. Then the next section for discussion is the new DRC forms that have come. One is DRC 01B. If you have any difference between your GSTR-1 or IFF liability and 3B. Let's say your GSTR-1 is showing 100 rupees and 3B is showing 80 rupees. So you are reporting a 20 rupees short liability. There will be a system-based intimation of 20 rupees to you in the form DRC01B Part A. Likewise, if you excess avail the ITC in GSTR 3B as compared to 2B, 2B is showing a credit of 100 rupees while you are reporting a credit of 130 in 3B. So the differential 30 is sought an explanation through DRC01C. What are the speciality of the forms and how do you comply with? Firstly, the notice would be intimated in Part A and it is system generated and it would always be specified for a period. Your reply should be in Part B and you should supply within 7 days. If you do not give a reply, please note, if you do not give a reply, there will not be any further proceedings under section 73 or 74. It's a direct recovery under section 79. Because 75 subsection 12 has been introduced in the earlier Finance Act, wherein if there is any self-assessed tax declared but not paid, then it is like deemed liability. So if you are not replying to DRC01B in your Part B within 7 days, then it is a direct recovery. Let's see what is the reason and the difference. The reasons for the difference could be you might have paid the taxes early extra. Let's say 100 rupees is your liability. All right. In the 3B, by mistake, you have reported 150 rupees. You have paid 150 rupees. What will you do? Next month, you will adjust. Situation 1. Situation 2, my liability is not 100. My liability is not 100. My liability is, let's say, 10. By mistake, someone has entered as 100 in R1. But I'll pay only 3B 10. Notice comes, I'll say my R1 has a reporting, which I'll correct it in the next period. Or I have I have paid tax on advance, which I'm now reversing. You give a reason why there is a difference. And this reply has to be done within 7 days. Moving to the next form, DRC01C. It's also the same. This is in accordance with the new rule 88D. We had 88B and C, where the blocking of credit ledger, making payment within 1%. Now 88D, where the department is expecting that your 2B and 3B should match. If it is not matching, give an explanation. Their notice would be in Part A of DRC01C. Your reply will be in Part B. If you think that there is a mistake, you can also pay it through DRC03 and then give a reply, or you can just say a reply saying that I made an error, whatever. But you got to do within 7 days. And if you don't do, they will block you so that you don't file your R1 next month. And if you know that if you don't file R1, all your buyers will not get credit, which will be a bigger loss. Or they will issue a demand notice of recovery act of tax under 73, 74. What could be the reasons for difference? Reasons for difference could also be the same. I have received the credit in 2B, but I am not availing it since for various reasons. Goods have not come or anything. Or I have not availed in the earlier month, which I am availing now. Or I have imported the goods, it is not visible in 2B. Or it could be imported in SCZ. Or I have reversed something in earlier period, saying that I don't know, which I am reclaiming it. No, so any of these reasons that you have, lastly, you might have made an error and you want to amend it in the next month. It's like instead of entering 100 rupees purchases, 18 CGST, 18 SGST, you have entered 100 in IGST, 18 in CGST, 18 in SGST. You realized only when the notice comes, you say, yes, I made a mistake. That 100 rupees is not utilized. It is lying in the ledger. I will reverse it in the next month. Can also be your reply. Any questions to anyone on DRC01, B and 1C? All right. So there are questions on GSTR-1. I'll take up once I complete the other sections. Then there is a HSN requirement for e-invoice and e-waybill. We had 78/2020 where turnover above 5 crores have to do a 6-digit reporting, turnover below 5 crores have to be doing a 4-digit reporting. E-waybill portal has made it effective. From tomorrow, any e-waybill generated, you will have to enter these values. HSN is a 8-digit. First 2 digits are chapter, second 2 digits heading, subheading, and the tariff entry. So this is how HSN has to be read. And the e-waybill and IRN are getting linked. Temporarily, they have withdrawn, but if you are generating an e-invoice, e-waybill has to be generated only after the e-invoice is done. Hopefully, this will be deferred, but not sure. But right now, they are saying that from March 24, 1st March 24, the e-waybill generation will not be allowed if the e-invoice details are not there. For delivery challan and other transactions, it will permitted. Wherever you are selecting it as a supply, you have to have an e-invoice. Only then e-waybill is permitted. Exceptions to it is B2C. If you are making a B2C supply, e-invoice will not be there. So again, this would be an exception transactions. E-waybill will get generated for these transactions. The last part of discussion for today, before I hand it over to Bharti, where Bharti will be demonstrating these changes live on the portal and how do we use GSTs in compliance of this. The last part is electronic credit reclaim statement. I'm sure many of you would have got calls, emails from the SGST department saying that so much of the credit is available. Please take it and report it. So you got to be judicially exercising your call on this, and reporting and reversals have to be taken care. What is the purpose of electronic credit reversal and reclaim statement? The purpose is whenever I have a credit in 2B, I might have not fulfilled the 16 subsection 2, the 6 conditions and the 3 provisos are not fulfilled, right? If any of them, I would want to defer my credit. When I defer my credit, I would expectation is I report it in 4A5, report it in 4B2, and net credit to be availed. The month in which I am fulfilling the credit, I report it back in 4A5, I report it in my 4D1. So 4B2 is your opening balance, 4D1 is utilization. Unknowingly, many people have reported many values under different 4B1 or 4B2 different places. So the government is saying that let the opening balance be computed. Opening balance as on what date? Opening balance as on 1st August 2023. Please compute and put a value. After August, government will start tracking every month 4B2 is the current month addition. Every month 4D1 is current month utilization. And these values have to be reported by the opening balance has to be reported by 30th November 23. Since the annual return due date was there, so they have extended till 31st Jan 24, which is today. Now, if you don't report it today, you have no option of reporting at all. So in case, if you don't know what to report or anything, I would suggest everyone, please open ECRS statement, put a value called 0 and report it. Why am I saying that? Once you have reported, you have an option to correct it 3 times till end of February, till 28th February. Actually, it should be 29th because this is a leap year, but that's okay. So till end of February, you have an option to correct this. And they have also now introduced a validation mechanism. If your 4D1 is going to be more than the electronic credit reclaim balance, you will again get the notice, right? So friends, these are the various things that we have for the discussion. If you have any questions, you put it in your Q&A chat and let me take up the questions. And also here is our WhatsApp channel. You can log into our WhatsApp. We share our updates on GST. Of course, we don't spam, but we give the quick updates and information about GST on a daily basis. Let me see if there are any questions. Okay. The question 1, where can we see notices DRC 01A Ashokji, Bharat is going to walk you through GST. Then we have a beautiful methodology. Komal is asking where we have to report, sir, we have to report to table 8 and table 14. Komal, let's look at this way. Values in table 14 are second time reporting. It could have come in 8, 4, 7. It could have come anywhere. In 14, I am reporting to the supplies on which I am liable to pay tax, supplies on which e-commerce is liable to pay tax. Supplies on which e-commerce is liable to pay tax, it's an exempt supply for me. I would be reporting in table 8. Supplies on which I am liable to pay tax, I would have reported in my 4 or 7 or 4, 5, 7 accordingly. Where to report in table 14 in case of Zomato? Okay. If Zomato is filing their GSTR-1, let's look at the question once again. I am presuming that Zomato is reporting the table 14. Generally, Zomato is an e-commerce operator. Very unlikely Zomato is making a supply through other e-commerce operator. So table 14 of Zomato would be nil. Unless otherwise Zomato has tied up with Make My Trip, and when a hotel is booked, like you can select for a food and Zomato would be delivering the food to the hotel. So one e-commerce operator is making their supplies through another e-commerce portal, then the 14 would come for Zomato. Samsung is as a question. HSN is available in GST but not available in inverse portal. Sir, I would suggest raise a grievance. They would be adding it into the master list, but unlikely. I have noticed all the things are there. We can connect offline. Mohan Kumar, restaurant sales through Swiggy, Zomato to be reported in table 14 or under 9.5. Sir, it has to be reported under table 14, but two sections under table 14. Section 1 where the TCS is applicable. In case of a restaurant, TCS is not applicable. That e-commerce operator is liable. So the restaurant dealer, Swiggy and Zomato, wherever you are supplying, you would be reporting under liable to pay under 9.5. You will be reporting under that section. Balaji is asking if rooms are booking through OYO, whether it should be reported in 14. Of course, Balaji, now if the rooms are reported through OYO, there could be two situations. If you are a registered person and you are booking rooms through OYO, OYO is not responsible to pay taxes under 9.5. You are responsible to pay taxes under forward charge. You still have to report because the OYO is going to do 1% TCS. So you will be reporting in the values under this section liable to collect TCS. Gopal is asking, I am a regular tax registered person and I'm making sales through Amazon and Flipkart. How my sales are reported under GSTR-1? So Gopal, if you are making a supply to a registered person, you will be reporting under table 4. If you are making a supply to an unregistered person, you will be reporting under table 7. In both the cases, the both values are reported again in this section where the e-commerce operator, Amazon and Flipkart, are liable to do TCS. Usually, always mismatching Amazon turnover and our turnover. What shall we do? Manikandan, I did not understand your question. A user is asking, will reclaim ITC of earlier reversed under 4B2 leads to DRC01C every month? Okay. Again, a good question. If you are claiming a reclaimed amount, if you are making a claim of reclaimed amount, so my value in GSTR2B, my value in GSTR2B, let's say is 100, but this month I'm claiming 120. So 20 rupees which I am claiming extra is a reversal that have happened in the earlier period. A reversal which I am reclaiming of the earlier period, if I am claiming now, I should report that in 4D1. So if my 4D1 plus 4, my GSTR2B is matching with my 4FI, again, I'll not be getting any notice. Hope this is clear. Good, we are well within the time and it's 3:45. So quickly another 15 minutes. Let us have Bharati walk us through all this, whatever we have discussed on the Zen. how do we simplify this compliance? Because you have to reply to the notice within 7 days. Some of them have asked the question, how do I know the notice has come? That is something Bharti is going to walk us through. Bharti, over to you.
Hello.
Yes, Bharti.
Thank you for your explanation. Let me begin by sharing my screen. Okay, I hope my screen is visible to all of you.
Yeah.
So, as Venu sir has already given a brief explanation, GST Zen is a GST ASP. We provide various services, that is filing of your returns, reconciliation, downloading of reports, e-invoicing, as well as notice traffic. So once you sign up and log in, this is GST Zen's dashboard, where you add all the GST numbers for which you want to file or reconcile or keep track of. So here, all the GST numbers will be added, and we show the status of the recent returns for your GSTR-1, 3B, and 9. So just at a glance, you can look at what returns have been filed and which are still pending. So you can keep track of everything from the dashboard itself. So moving on to the first thing, that is filing of R1 with your new changes, that is your table 14. So what we do is we select the GST number from here, and then the functions are available within the quick action schedule. You can download various reports, that is your GSTR-1, GSTR-1 e-invoices, 2A, 2B, 3B, ITC-04, electronic ledger, consolidated report. Herein, we provide comparison between R1, 2A, and 3B. You can also have R1, 2B, and 3B. So you have comparison between, let's say, GSTR-1 and 3B, so that you can compare whatever you are declaring in R1 and 3B are the same. So if there are any discrepancies, you would get a notice from the GST portal, and here you can keep track of what you are filing. Similarly, you can keep track of what ITC is coming in your 2B and what you have claimed in 3B. Then you have individual reconciliation. You can reconcile your purchase register with 2A, reconcile with 2B, and your sales register with GSTR-1 or e-invoice. Then you have the option of filing GSTR-1, 3B, 9, and so I'll be showing you GSTR-1 writing. So we are filing for January. First step would be to download. If you have e-invoices, what you do is you download the auto-populated data. You can log in with OTP from here. Once you are logged in, you click on Get Details from the government portal, and if any data has been uh, if any data is present in GSTR-1, that is your generated auto-populated e-invoices, it will get downloaded here. Next step would be to upload your sales register. So I have prepared some dummy data here for the purpose of filing R1, and as you can see, there are some entries with e-commerce GST number as well. So I'll be showing you how that will appear in GSTR-1 PDF and how GST Zen will treat them. So now going back, I will just upload the sales register. My data is present in this sheet. Here you'll be mapping the information present in your Excel to the software. So if you upload the same format again, the mapping will come preloaded. You can select from which column of the Excel are you getting this information. So I am getting invoice type from column C, so I selected column C. Similarly, customer GST number and other fields. It will take a few seconds to process the invoices, and then you'll get a summary of the uploaded document. So before confirming and saving, you can verify the totals, and if there are any errors, they will display at the bottom. Okay, so now my data has uploaded. Going back to my GSTR-1, I have downloaded the auto-populated data, uploaded my sales register, and then we have this GSTR-1 calculation setting. So GST-1 automatically runs a reconciliation between the sales register uploaded and the data fetched from the GST portal. So here, based on that reconciliation, you will have various results, and you can provide these settings. Based on these settings, the payload will be calculated for uploading to the portal. So any invoices that are present only in books, like B2C or your exempted entries, those which would not be present in the portal, you would want them to upload to the portal. So here you have selected the setting as upload to portal. Similarly, invoices present only in auto-populated data, you can choose to keep it as it is, or you can mark them for deletion. Here, this is also important because sometimes your data is more than 500 invoices, and you are not able to delete individual invoices. This gives you a choice to give that to delete that specific entry and not delete the whole section to replace it. Similarly, books and invoice, if they are matching, you can keep the portal as it is, so that IRM is not disturbed. And if there are slight differences, you can choose to upload books portal, books invoice to the portal, or keep the portal invoice as it is. So once these settings are done, you click on calculate summary. So the summary will provide the summary that will be available in GSTR-1 after upload is done. Here you can see under e-commerce, we have 15 entries, and it is giving the total. So if you also want to see what details are going, you can check the PDF. Here you can see that there is table 14A and 14B. So 14A is supplies paid through e-commerce operators liable under tax, liable to collect tax under section 52, and 14B is liable to pay tax under section 95. So by giving the reverse charge, let's say wherever reverse charge is no, it goes under 14A, and wherever the reverse charge is yes, it goes under 14B. So GST then automatically takes care of placing the invoices in the correct table. So you can verify this before uploading the same to the portal. You can also take a look at individual invoice level details here. And what if you only want to see the delta, that is what is getting uploaded to the portal, you can see it under payload excellent. Okay, it will take a minute to upload. The next step would be to generate summary. It will give a comparison between what is showing in GST-1 and what is there in portal, and if there are any discrepancies. If there are no discrepancies, you can move ahead and file your return. Okay, so this was about filing your GSTR-1. Some of you had asked about keeping track of your notices. So we have this notice manager. So here you can go and see all the notices that are present for all the GST numbers that are there in your account, and you can give specific statuses, like this status is marked as resolved. So if I open this particular notice or demand, here I have the option of providing the status. Okay. Here you can mark it as unread, unacknowledged, work in progress, or resolved based on your working, and the same status would be available here under notice tracker. So you can also go to individual level, and you can see for all GST numbers here, you can also filter for a specific GST number here, or by the authority, notice type, date of issue. So there are various filters here which can be used for filtering your notice. Plus, GST then also provides you an option to download all the notices in bulk. So we have this feature called autopilot, wherein you can select multiple GST numbers at once and give the command to download the portal data into GST Zen in one click. Here you would not have to select each individual GST number and perform the same function again and again. So you can, let's say, select 40 GST numbers, 20 GST numbers together and give the command to download your, let's say, GSTR-1 or your notices, any data that you choose. So here I can give the command to download notices, select all, and start. So wherever you have already entered your username password, you just need to enter your captcha and log in. It will automatically start downloading the notices for the GST numbers selected. And you can find them all under notice management. Okay. So this is your notice management. You can save your attachments also, whatever responses you have given in regards to the notice, those can also be saved against these notices here. So you can keep track of everything. What is the status, what reply has been sent, whether it has been resolved or not. So everything you can keep track of in a single account under a single window. Okay. The next thing is e-invoicing. Again, I select the GST number for which I want to generate e-invoice. We have various e-invoicing solutions. So one of those is standard Excel. We also provide customized Excel. So if you have your own format, that can be mapped to our software. We have this offline e-invoice Excel, which is a macros. You enter the information in the macros and give a command directly from the macros to generate e-invoice. It will give the results back in that macros itself. You can also connect your own ERP through our APIs. So right now I'll be showing you through our standard format, that is GST Zen Excel. I have already prepared some data here. So these are some of the invoices I have created for the purpose of e-invoicing. It is a very quick method. You can upload the invoices in bulk. Okay. When I click on upload e-invoices, it will take a few seconds to load all the invoices here. Okay. So all the invoices right now are not generated. So as you can see in the legend, yellow circle indicates e-invoice not yet created. I can look at the PDF also to make sure the information is correct. This is the last step to check before generating your e-invoice. Once you are satisfied, you can click on upload e-invoices. All the invoices that are visible here will get uploaded to the portal. Now you can see here that e-invoices are getting generated. If there is an issue with your data, it will give you an error. You can click on the invoice number and see what the error is. Another thing that has been notified by the portal is that you have to generate e-way bill on IRN. So once e-invoice is generated, you can open the invoice and directly generate e-way bill from here against the e-invoice. So I will just give the vehicle number If you are generating only party, you can give transporter ID and transporter name and any transport document number that you might have and the date. With the command to generate e-webel, e-webel is also generated now. We also provide the e-webel PDF. So the e-webel PDF can also be downloaded from here. All of this can be done directly through Excel also. So if you provide the details of e-webel in the Excel while uploading, e-invoice and e-webel will be generated simultaneously. It is taking a few seconds to load. Okay, so this is the process of generating e-webel and linking your e-webel with IRN. As you can see, the e-webel is generated and you have the PDF available as well, which you can download from here. So, okay, so that was all for the demo. If there are any questions, please do let us know.
Any questions to anyone? All right. I guess we have answered all the questions, and feel free to get in touch with us in case if anything is unresolved. Thank you so much, and thank you, Bharti, and thank you, Utkarsh.
Thank you.